Hey everyone, Colin Shadwell back for another throwing tutorial. This time I'm taking on a pretty big project here. This is the first time I've shown one of these on YouTube of me throwing a really tall piece by combining two thrown pieces here. So I'm going to try to make a really big genie bottle this time. So the part I'm working on here, of course, at the bottom is this big rounded part. So I've got a pretty sizable piece of clay because I want this to be pretty sturdy. You can't make it too thin, otherwise it won't hold the weight of the top part, and you won't be able to have a thick part at the top too, because if you want to have two pieces combined, you have to have a pretty thick rim at the top. So you notice as I'm throwing these, I'm leaving my rim at the top pretty thick and coming back and compressing it each time. So I'm just going to go for a really big bowled out shape, as round as I can make it on the bottom. So I've got my plastic rib tool here. I'm just going to slowly back and forth work this way out until it gets the shape that I want. As you can see here, I put a lot of slip on the top of the rim here, and I just kind of keep my fingers up against the rim as I bowl it out so that the shape doesn't start wobbling on me. I find if I press at the bottom and I don't have my fingers on the top, then sometimes it starts wobbling. So I got the bottom part finished. I went ahead and measured the outside diameter with my calipers, and now I'm going to start throwing the top part. So I need the base of this piece to be the same width as the top of my previous piece. So on this one I can go ahead and push down all the way down to the bat here. So when I press down with my fingers and make the hole in the middle, I don't need to leave clay at the bottom. This has got a hole that goes all the way down to the bat. So again, doing my normal pulls here, I'm just trying to get a lot of height and collar in. You can see I really get squeezed back in. More height on this pull. This is a nice, really long finger pull. Stayed centered the entire way. Lots of slip, nice and slow. I really do find it's easier to stand up. When I do these taller pieces, I really can't do them sitting down. I don't know if it's the angle of my arm, if it's trying to reach my arm all the way down to the inside of it while trying to keep the outside arm steady. I feel that if I tighten, if I feel like I have like a towel underneath each arm and I keep my arms really tight to my body and really just kind of keep my hands steady as I stand up, I can get really nice pulls here. So obviously I was in the middle of throwing here and didn't see that I've kind of cut off the top here, but what I'm just gonna is round the lip over a little bit at the top, and then this gotta be good. So you can see I'm just trying to get a nice coned in shape by collaring some more, and I've got the size that I want at the bottom. So the base here has dried out for the most part. The bottom of it's still pretty wet, but enough that I can kind of create a little foot at the bottom and then smooth over some of this. And really at this point I can't, it's at leather hard, I can go through and start clearing out some of the thickness of it while still leaving the top part pretty thick. Coming in here, now I'm going to go ahead and try to center up the cone part as well. And this is probably much too wet for me to carve this, but I just need to try to get it smooth so that I can still attach it. You have to really watch your dryness on this, because you still need some wetness at the base here so you can slip and score it and attach it to the previous. So now I've got the two pieces. I'm scoring the top, adding some slip. Got the top part of that one, score, slip. And this part is just trying to get it close to somewhat centered. Watching the top and make sure there's not too much of a wobble, and then just smoothing this out. Put a little rib to kind of join it together just a little bit, and then let it sit for a while. So you see once I get it kind of where I want it, I'll stop, and then I'll come back the next day, and now I can kind of trim this where I want. And you can see the top isn't going to be perfectly level. It's really hard to kind of keep it from not getting too level. I can kind of hold it tight as I trim some of this. But when you cut it off the bat, sometimes it'll come off uneven and you're just not going to get perfectly straight. But again, when it's still, that's what I say with a lot of these pieces. When it's still, you don't notice that it's off by a little bit. So it's only when it's spinning really fast you see that it's got a wobble to it. So I'm just trying to get a nice smooth transition here. I decided to go through and put this kind of groove decoration on the top here, and I don't know, it didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped, but it's okay. You know, just going through and putting smaller and smaller grooves as it goes up. It was hard to be consistent with the grooves as I went up, because some made deeper ones and some made, because the way the top was wobbling a little bit. But you know, we live and learn. Hopefully when I glaze it, it'll turn out pretty cool, because those grooves will create little color variations. So I'm just taking a sponge and kind of smoothing out the sharper edges. I don't like sharp edges on my pieces, so this is just enough to kind of round over those sharp parts. Little decorative elements here. top and bottom, and that finishes the neck part. Now, of course, again, I'm going for negative space on all these pieces, so I've got to find some way to cut out something and add negative space. So here I am with my hacksaw blade again, taking this beautiful bottle and opening it right up. I just kind of arbitrarily cut out a piece that I thought would be interesting. Got a slab here. I'm going to hold it up here to see how much I need. And again, this is still a guess and check method. I get it close to what I want. Lots of slipping, lots of scoring so that it does not want to break or the seams look good. And then basically just creating a patch and then cutting away all the excess that you don't want. And then getting it really close, enough that it's probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch hangover left over. And then I just smooth it. And then I'll clear that away with my Sureform later on. And I thought, well, I'll do one side, might as well do the other. So I use the other piece to as a guide. Of course, this one ends up being just a little bit smaller because of the way the piece was cut, which is fine. They still have the general same shape. So again, lots of slipping and scoring. You can't really go wrong with too much slipping and scoring. And then just get more clay than you think you need. Really mash it in there nice and tight. You get a nice tight seam, and then cut away the excess, again leaving about 1/8 of an inch. And I really do find it helps to just blend it back in. So really push that clay back in, and then you can clear it up later on. So when it's all finished here, I use my Sureform to clean up the edges, and then I went through and put a little texture pattern on the inside to kind of differentiate the outside from the inside. But really tall bottle, kind of a unique shape, and I don't know, thought it turned out pretty well. Thanks for watching.